Welcome back to my channel, my lovelies. This is a new Taekook fanfiction story. When he fell for the soccer player. Pure imaginations of mine. Please don't take it seriously. It is for entertainment purposes only. Let's begin. Kim Taehyung was the kind of man whose name carried weight in every boardroom and stadium across the country. Wealthy, composed, and disarmingly handsome, he wasn't just the owner of Vanguard FC, one of the most elite football clubs in Asia. He was the Kim Taehyung, the youngest man to ever build an empire from scratch. With his tailored suits, deep voice, and unreadable expression, Taehyung was a mystery wrapped in success. His club was his pride. Every season they dominated, trophies, headlines, endorsements. The Vanguard crest was proud with victory. But lately, something had changed. A smaller, less funded team, Phoenix United, had begun stealing the spotlight. Game after game. They climbed the ranks, outscoring everyone, including Vanguard FC. It was impossible. Their tactics weren't extraordinary. Their lineup wasn't made of superstars. And yet they played with a fire that reminded Taehyung of his own early days, when passion outweighed prestige. Curiosity gnawed at him. One rainy Saturday evening, Taehyung decided he had seen enough headlines. He pulled up his black coat collar, slipped on a cap, and walked into the buzzing Phoenix United Stadium, anonymously, blending into the crowd for the first time in years. The air was electric. The fans were alive. And on the field, chaos turned into beauty. Then he saw him. Number 97. Jungkook. The name alone echoed through the announcer's voice, but Taehyung barely heard it. All he saw was the way the young man moved, fluid, confident. Impossible to ignore. Jungkook was magnetic. His body was built like an athlete sculpted by ambition itself, his black hair damp with sweat as he sprinted across the field, tattoos peeking from beneath the sleeve of his jersey. Every time his arm flexed, a faint inked line appeared, a tease of rebellion beneath the surface of his charm. He had that smile, the kind that could make a crowd roar or a heart skip. Mischievous, dangerous, and devastatingly flirty. When he scored, he didn't just celebrate. He owned the moment, grinning wide, tongue peeking between his teeth as fans screamed his name. Taehyung found himself leaning forward, elbows resting on his knees. His heartbeat quickened in a way that felt unfamiliar. The businessman in him analyzed the strategy. The man in him, however, the one he buried beneath layers of control, simply watched. When the whistle blew and Phoenix United won, Jungkook jogged toward the stands, throwing his shirt over his shoulder, revealing toned abs, tattoos glinting under the floodlights. The stadium trembled with noise. Taehyung's lips parted slightly, his breath caught somewhere between admiration and intrigue. "That's him," he murmured to himself. "The reason they're climbing." Back in his private box, Taehyung's assistant, Namjoon, entered quietly holding a tablet. "Sir, you wanted the post-match analytics?" Taehyung nodded, his gaze still fixed on the field. "Focus on number 97, he said, his voice calm but his eyes sharp. Jungkook. I want every detail, stats, background, contract terms, everything." Namjoon blinked. "Are you considering?" Taehyung didn't let him finish. "He's the heartbeat of that team. And I intend to know why." That night, while the city celebrated Phoenix United's victory, Kim Taehyung sat alone in his office. Glass of scotch untouched on the desk. On his screen was a slow-motion replay of Jungkook's final goal. The precision, the passion, the power in his eyes. There was something there, something raw. Taehyung leaned back, his lips curving faintly. He plays like he's chasing something he can't have, he murmured. Or someone. He didn't know why that thought lingered. He didn't know why Jungkook's grin burned behind his eyelids long after the game ended. All he knew was that for the first time in years, Kim Taehyung was curious. And when Kim Taehyung was curious, the world tended to shift around him. A week had passed since Kim Taehyung first laid eyes on Jungkook, but the memory of that night refused to fade. He'd watched the match replays more times than he'd care to admit. Every goal, every sprint, every flash of that boyish grin that didn't belong in a world as ruthless as professional football. And now, the man who never chased anyone was about to make an exception. The black limousine pulled up in front of Phoenix United's modest training complex, a far cry from Taehyung's glass tower headquarters. He stepped out, his long coat sweeping the ground, his aura immediately drawing attention. The staff stilled. Even the players mid-training paused, whispering under their breath. Is that Kim Taehyung? Yes, the owner of Vanguard FC. Jungkook, who was sitting on the grass tying his boots, looked up, sweat on his neck, hair damp, chest rising and falling from practice. When his eyes met Taehyung's across the field, something invisible hummed in the air. A pull. A recognition neither could explain. Taehyung gave a small nod, polite, professional, but his gaze lingered a second too long. Later that afternoon, Jungkook was called into the club's small office. The team owner, Mr. Park, looked both thrilled and nervous. Jungkook, he said, smiling awkwardly. Mr. Kim Taehyung asked to meet you privately. He's waiting in the conference room. Jungkook blinked. The Kim Taehyung? Mr. Park nodded eagerly. He's a powerful man, Jungkook. This could be your chance to join the best club in the country. Jungkook hesitated, rubbing the back of his neck. All right. I'll see what he has to say. The conference room felt too small for Taehyung's presence. He stood by the window, sunlight slicing across his sharp profile, dark hair perfectly styled, suit impeccable, his wristwatch gleaming like quiet authority. When Jungkook entered, Taehyung turned slowly. Up close, Jungkook could finally see what the world meant when they called Kim Taehyung untouchable. His features were refined, but not cold. His beauty carried a stillness that drew attention without demanding it. His voice, when he spoke, was smooth enough to send a shiver down Jungkook's spine. Jungkook, Taehyung said softly, offering a hand. It's a pleasure. Jungkook shook it, his palm warm, calloused. The pleasure's mine, sir. Taehyung gestured to the seat opposite him. Sit. I won't take much of your time. Jungkook obeyed, though his heart thumped louder than he liked. Taehyung leaned forward slightly, clasping his hands on the table. I'll be direct. You're exceptional. I've seen many players rise and fall in this sport, but the way you move on the field. His eyes flickered briefly. It's different. You don't play for fame. You play for something deeper. Jungkook blinked, unsure how to respond. I just love the game, he said simply. Taehyung's lips curved. Exactly. That's why I want you at Vanguard FC. Jungkook's head lifted, eyes wide. Taehyung continued, his tone steady and persuasive. I'm offering you a contract that will change your life. Triple your current salary, international exposure, sponsorships. You'd train under the best coaches. And, his gaze softened, you'd be playing where you belong, among champions. Jungkook exhaled slowly. It was every player's dream. The kind of offer no one in their right mind would refuse. Yet, he looked down for a moment before meeting Taehyung's eyes again. Sir, I appreciate your offer, truly, but I can't accept it. Taehyung's brows drew together slightly. Can't? Jungkook nodded, his tone earnest. Phoenix United took me in when no one else believed I'd make it. Their owner, Mr. Park, he helped me get my first pair of shoes. Paid for my rehab when I got injured last year. I can't just walk away because I got noticed. There was silence. Taehyung leaned back in his chair, studying him. Not as a businessman sizing up a deal, but as a man unexpectedly impressed. You're loyal, he said finally. That's rare. Jungkook smiled faintly. I owe them everything. I can't abandon them just because something better came along. Taehyung's eyes softened, a trace of admiration flickering beneath his composed exterior. Loyalty is a beautiful thing, Jungkook. But so is ambition. Jungkook chuckled nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. Maybe. But ambition without a heart doesn't mean much to me. Taehyung tilted his head slightly, intrigued. The boy wasn't just talented, he had conviction. That combination was deadly. For a moment they both fell silent. The air thickened, not with words but with something unspoken. Jungkook's gaze lingered on Taehyung's lips before darting away, embarrassed at himself. He could feel it, that strange pull. There was something magnetic about Taehyung, the way his voice carried authority yet warmth, the quiet confidence in how he held eye contact. He was the kind of man who could make you forget to breathe if he simply looked your way. And maybe that was exactly what was happening. Taehyung rose slowly, walking around the table until he was standing just behind Jungkook. The younger man felt the shift in the air, the faint scent of cologne. Sharp, expensive, intoxicating. Taehyung spoke quietly, close enough that Jungkook could feel the vibration of his voice. Do you always turn down opportunities, Jungkook? Jungkook swallowed hard, forcing a small smile. Only the ones that would make me forget who I am. Taehyung's smile deepened, half impressed, half challenged. I see. When Jungkook finally turned to face him, Taehyung's gaze met his, steady, unreadable, yet laced with something undeniably personal. I respect your decision, Taehyung said finally. But don't mistake this as the end of my offer. Jungkook blinked. Sir? Taehyung's tone softened but carried quiet determination. I don't give up easily, Jungkook. And I'm not going to give up on you. The words hung in the air, bold and deliberate. Jungkook didn't know how to respond. His chest tightened in a way that had nothing to do with football. He could only manage a small, awkward laugh. You make it sound like a promise. Taehyung smiled, his eyes glinting. It is. As Jungkook left the room, heart pounding, he couldn't help but glance back once, and found Taehyung still watching him, expression calm, yet eyes burning with intent. For reasons he couldn't name, Jungkook had the unsettling feeling that this was just the beginning. That Kim Taehyung was going to change his life in ways no contract ever could. And for the first time, Jungkook felt something warm in his chest. Something wasn't familiar, something pulling him so close to this handsome, elegant, heartwarming man. To be continued. Part 2 coming soon. Hope you enjoyed the new story. Thanks for watching.